Hey everyone, today we're going to be working on adding MicroLogix devices from the Allen Bradley family of PLCs into OnPing. I have RS500 open, and I'm going to pick the program that we're going to use, which is this demo program. So this is what the program layout looks like in RS500, and mostly what I'm wanting to show you is how to get online by clicking Go Online. Now you can see the data that we're trying to pull, which we're going to be pulling N7, which is the integer data. And here's N7.1, which is a value that we're going to be reading in, that we'll do later in OnPing. And secondly, we're going to be pulling in F8, which is a floating point value. We'll be pulling in floating point value 0. The next thing that we'll show is on the OnPing side. Alright, so the first thing that we'll need to do in order to get a MicroLogix device talking with OnPing is to add a MicroLogix driver to the lumberjack. So here's our lumberjack. I'm going to go to our apps list and see if it's already been installed. And you can see just very quickly that it hasn't been installed already, so I'm going to go ahead and do that by going over here to our available apps and then searching for single well MicroLogix and then clicking the download button. It'll make sure that I still want to do that. Click OK. It says install successfully queued. Package set changes have been queued. Now it's trying to talk to the lumberjack. Some of this is slow because we try and balance things out for high latency connections. Again, now it's waiting for the lumberjack to talk back to it. And now it's talking to the lumberjack, and this install will begin. Sometimes this can take a little bit of time depending on how big the driver being installed is. I don't remember exactly how big this is. Alright, now the package is installed, and we can go ahead and go to our driver screen. So to go to our driver screen, I'm going to go ahead and click where it says MicroLogix. I already went ahead and made that panel. I'll go ahead and click Edit Dashboard, plus Widget. And the controller that we're going to want is the MicroLogix controller. You go ahead and hit Save. Okay, so now I'll have a place to add the tags. But of course, before I add the tags, I'm going to exit Dashboard here. I need to first add the comm setup in the lumberjack. Just to review, there are sort of 3 settings that have to be done in order to talk with a driver in OnPing. First, that driver has to be downloaded onto the lumberjack, unless it's already there. Second, you have to set up the communications with that driver. We'll do that in our admin links section. Again, if you don't have an admin links panel, contact support or your administrator if you think you need it. Now I'm going to find Add a MicroLogix. And that's going to take me to MicroLogix locations, and I can now add a new MicroLogix device. So to add that new device, I'm going to click on New Location. I'm going to give it a name, MicroLogix for video. The URL here is going to be the URL of the lumberjack. The port will be the default port of 17,000. The PLC URL is going to be the device that I'm targeting, specifically the MicroLogix device that I'm targeting. And then the PLC port is 44818. This is almost always going to be 44818 unless you have some sort of port forwarding set up. Polling frequency, 60 seconds is fine. Number of retries means, let's say it tries to poll and fails. How many more times will it try before it waits 60 seconds to try again? 1 is just fine. Company is going to be my demo company. I'll put it under my MicroLogix group. And it'll be under demo users. And I won't put any latitude or longitude in. Click Add. Okay, let's make sure that it shows up. MicroLogix for video. I'll go ahead and click on it. So the fact that that shows up like this means that it's able to find the device and everything looks great. Now I'm ready to add some parameters to this device. Go back and click on my MicroLogix screen here and look up the MicroLogix that we just made. Not a lot to see here until I click on New File. In MicroLogix land, files are how everything is stored. It's not tag based. There's a file ID and a data type. So this is where your F or N comes from. So the first one we'll do is an N, which is an integer, and that'll be N7, which we saw earlier in the video. I'm going to set that as a read-write kind of file and have it pull in parameter ID 2. I'll call it value for a demo. Hit save. Maybe I want to add parameter ID 1, value for second. Let me refresh these values. Make sure they're updating nicely. There we go. See, this is updated, 1243, and I get a value of a 2 for the second value that I entered in. I'm gonna go ahead and delete that first value because I don't need it. There we go. And this value is actually writable, so I can write that value, I can write a 3 to it, for instance. Or I can write it back to a 2, though. That all works very nicely. Secondly, let's add another file type. We'll add a float. So a new file, and that should be an 8. Float example. Save. There we go. 1.1 and then some change. So this happens because these values are 32-bit floats and we store them as 64-bit floats, so you end up with just a little bit of garbage, and you can hide that in any screen besides this one using a mask. If you use like round or truncate, you can truncate it to what you need it to be. Anyway, from here, everything's just the same as any other use of a parameter, and it all works exactly like every other driver in OnPing. So I think I'll stop there. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to support and we'll be glad to help. Thank you.